Hi parents! In this video, we will be sharing with you about reading and a strategy which you can use to help your child in reading. Let's take a look at what we will be covering. First, we will talk about the 5 critical components in beginning reading instruction. Next, we will move on to touch on the approaches to teach reading. In this section, we will look at how children learn to read. Lastly, we will talk about guided repeated oral reading, which is a strategy which you can use to help your child in reading at home. Before we move on, let me share with you some quotes on reading. The more you read, the more things you know. The more that you learn, the more places you will go. Today a reader, tomorrow a leader. Children are made readers on the laps of their parents. Hence, parents, let's work hand in hand together to help your child in reading so that he or she will enjoy learning. What are the 5 critical components in beginning reading instruction? They are phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. Next, I will briefly explain what the 5 critical components mean. What is phonemic awareness? It is defined as the understanding that spoken words are made up of separate units of sound that are blended together when words are pronounced. For example, if a child can hear and say that the word cat has 3 sounds or phonemes, k, e, t, this means that he or she has phonemic awareness skill. It is essential that children learn to understand that words are made up of individual sounds and they can blend, segment, and manipulate these sounds. What is phonics? It is a set of rules that specify the relationship between letters in the spelling of words and the sounds of spoken language. Phonemic awareness and phonics do work together when children learn to read and spell. Words are made up of sounds, and letters represent these sounds in print. What is fluency? Fluency is recognizing the words in a text rapidly and accurately, then using phrasing and emphasis in a way that makes what is read sound like spoken language. A fluent reader is able to read orally with appropriate speed, accuracy, and proper expression. What is vocabulary? Vocabulary refers to words that we need to know to communicate with others. There are 4 types of vocabulary: listening, speaking, reading, and writing vocabulary. Vocabulary development is closely connected to comprehension. The larger the reader's vocabulary, either oral or print, the easier it is for him or her to make sense of the text. Let's move on to the last critical component of beginning reading instruction: comprehension. Comprehension involves constructing meaning that is reasonable and accurate by connecting what has been read to what we already know, and thinking about all this information until it is understood. Comprehension is the final goal of reading instruction. It is a complex skill that requires time and practice to develop fully. In our next segment, we will be sharing with you two approaches to teach reading. Children learn reading either through direct systematic phonics instruction or via whole word reading approach. In direct systematic phonics instruction, the child learns the sound that a letter or a cluster of letters represent. Then he or she blends the sounds together. For example, the sound of the letter A is eh, letter U is ah. When we add a letter R behind the vowels A, E, I, O, U, we will have the R controlled vowels, and the sounds are different. For example, the sound of AR is R, as in car. Letter C has two sounds. It can be pronounced as K, as in cat, or S, as in cycle. CH is a digraph, which is made up of two letters but has only one sound. Ch, as in chair. Through direct instructions and repeated practice, the letter and sound correspondence knowledge becomes automatic. The child does not need to spend any effort consciously to think about what the sound is. These are the vowels. There are short and long vowels, R-controlled vowels, and vowel teams. A vowel team is when you have two vowels that work together to make one sound. For example, AI is a vowel team. The sound is A, as in rain. An R-controlled vowel is any vowel followed by an R. The R changes the sound that the vowel makes. For example, IR is an R-controlled vowel and the sound is as in bird. The letters A, E, I, O, U are vowels. The rest of the letters are the consonants. There are also consonant blends and consonant digraphs. What is the difference between a consonant blend and a consonant digraph? A consonant blend is when two or more consonants are blended together, but each sound may be heard in the blend. Whereas in a consonant digraph, two consonants stand together to represent a single sound. SH, sh, and CH, ch are examples of consonant digraphs. Now, we are going to demonstrate how we blend the phonemes together to read the word. The smallest unit of sound is called a phoneme. First, we sound out the individual phoneme. Ch, o, p. Then, we blend the phonemes together to read the word. Ch, o, p. Chop, chop. I chop the log with an axe. Chop. Let's look at another example. First, we sound out the individual phoneme. K, eh, ch. Then we blend the phonemes together to read the word. Catch, catch, catch. Catch. I can catch the ball. Catch. Another approach to teach reading is using the whole word approach. In this whole word reading approach, the child acquires rapid word recognition by sight. The child remembers how the word looks like and the meaning of the word. In other words, the words are memorized as a whole. In this approach, the child recognizes the word instead of phonetically decoding the word. These are examples of sight word lists. There are the fry list and the dodge sight word lists. They were developed based on the most frequently occurring words in the English language. Which approach to use really depends on the child. Phonics instruction works well with some children, whereas others may have good memory and they prefer using the sight word approach. To have the best of both worlds, expose your child to both approaches. The combination of both approaches, explicit phonic instruction with the sight word list, helps children to build fluency quickly by providing a base of words that they recognize on sight, along with a method for decoding unfamiliar words. Next, we are going to share with you a strategy which is guided repeated oral reading that you can use to help your child to improve a variety of reading skills, including fluency. Let's go through the procedures of guided repeated oral reading. First, a teacher, parent, or peer reads a passage aloud fluently. Then, the child rereads the text on his or her own quietly. He or she can read for several times. The text should be at an appropriate level that is not too difficult or too easy for him or her. Next, the child reads aloud several times to the adult or peer. Points to take note when carrying out this reading session with your child. When your child faces difficulties reading certain words, do not be too quick to pronounce the words for him or her. Try asking questions to let your child figure out how to read that particular word on his or her own. Questions that you can ask to guide him or her along are: do you know any parts of this word? Is there any smaller word you can find inside this word? Does it follow a rule that you have learned from your class? Is it a magic E word? Does it look like a word that you have already known? What are the beginning, middle, and ending sounds? Are there any vowel themes in the word? Next, during the reading session with your child, remember to praise your child for his or her efforts and celebrate the little successes that he or she has made. Enjoy the reading experience. Relax and make your questions conversational. Children learn better in a non-threatening and conducive environment. Be positive and encouraging. Use words like good job, awesome, and well done to motivate your child. Lastly, we have to be consistent. Practice makes perfect. A minimum of 20 minutes per day would be great. If your child encounters difficulty reading a particular word, Try to use the suggested prompts to help him or her, as frustration can start within 5 to 10 seconds for young children. Take a break and then come back to the task may help for children with short attention span. We are going to watch a video on guided repeated oral reading strategy so that we can have a better understanding on how to carry out the strategy.
Repeated reading is practice for reading, much like practice for other activities, such as basketball or playing piano. In basketball, players practice shooting hoops. Shooting hoops is not all there is to basketball. It is practice. Practice is what it takes to be a successful athlete, musician, or reader. Repeated reading is practice designed to help your child become a better reader. Repeated reading addresses 3 skills: accuracy, reading the words correctly; expression, reading with expression, smoothly, with correct phrasing, like talking; and rate, reading at a pace appropriate for their reading level. Here is how to do a repeated reading. Have your child read out loud from a book or article within their reading range for 1 to 2 minutes. You may help with any words or phrases which are difficult for them. When your child has finished reading the passage, any difficulties they had may be reviewed, or you may compliment their effort. Then, have your child read the same passage out loud again, right then in the same sitting, and you may help again as needed. Each time the reading should show improvement. Perhaps on the second reading, your child was able to successfully read the words which had been difficult for them, or was able to read more smoothly. Compliment them on what was done well, and ask them to read the passage one final time. You may suggest that they read the passage their very best, as if they were reading to their friend or to their class. If perhaps the third reading wasn't quite as smooth as desired, and your child is enjoying this practice, you could consider a fourth reading, but that is probably the most you would do. Each day you do a repeated reading with your child, select a new passage to practice. The key steps are: selecting a passage within your child's reading range, having your child read the passage out loud, giving your child support and feedback on difficult words or phrasing, and your child rereading out loud the same passage in the same sitting 2 to 3 times. How often should you do a repeated reading? Once a day, anywhere from twice a week to almost every day. And remember, it's always good to talk about the reading, what it is about, and what your child thinks about it. For variations on repeated readings and other information on helping your child with reading, go to helpforreading.com. Happy practicing!
Hi, parents! We have come to the end of our sharing on helping your child in reading. We hope you have enjoyed our sharing. Thank you and have a nice day.